Your hair looks gorgeous.
Hi, Brent.
Hi.
Can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey, Shelby. Oh, I think it's here. There we go. Hey, Kaylin. Can you see us?
Yes.
Okay. Why can't we see us?
What? Because you changed the view.
Oh. Hey, Josephine. You in the car? Can't hear you. I think you might be muted, Josephine. I can't hear you.
You're fine.
True. Well, I don't hear any background noise, so it's not a big deal, unless. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you doing? Chloe, do not take that tablet to bed. I love you, baby. So good. I'm meeting with my It Works team. Say hello. That's Lindsay. No? All right, then go to bed.
Camera shy.
Camera shy, I guess. She was supposed to be in bed. She came to try and take your tablet to bed.
Okay, should we get started? Can you guys see Eric too, or just me?
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's fix that.
No, I asked Eric to join me because he was at the event this weekend, so I wanted his insight to it. I think this is your first one, right? First event?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had babysitters for a change. So.
Yeah. So we will get started, and then if people hop on, then that's great. So I usually start with like introductions, but I think we're going to get too big to where that's just going to take up more time than we need. So I don't want to take up too much time tonight. So I'm going to go over, so there's, we went up Friday night and they had like a Diamonds and Above training for 2 hours. So it's more like leadership overview style training. So I'll kind of go over that stuff towards the end, but I'll start with what they taught us on Saturday, which was more kind of like, you know, parties and blitzing and how to keep your customers and how to keep your distributors motivated. So I think that's kind of going to be more beneficial right now. So we'll get started with that. You want to add anything? So the first, what?
We're talk about this.
Oh, yeah. So before I get started, just like as far as events go, I don't know if any of you guys have been to events. I think, Shelby, this was your first event, so maybe you can attest to that. When I first joined, everyone was like, you have to get to events, like it'll change your business. And, it didn't really make sense to me because I had never really been to one. So I didn't really understand what that meant. But I went to my first event last February, the conference in Florida. And I totally understood after that what they meant. Like, to be surrounded by tons of other It Works distributors, like where they all have the same, excitements and goals, and, they know the struggles. And the first thing they did at the conference was have people stand up or raise their hand if.
Well, Mike and Pam were out in the audience with microphones asking questions. And so you've been to a conference, now you've been to boot camp, and you've been to One Team, One Mission. And this is my first time being in anything. And what Mike and Pam did was going around the audience asking questions, like asking people, what was their struggle or what was their biggest fear or their biggest hang up. And person after person raised their hand, standing up, being like, saying they feel like they're hitting a wall, they feel like they're not worthy, they feel like, just their own fear is holding them back. And so it was pretty cool. And Lindsay's the one that's working this more so than I am. I'm just here to support her, but it was pretty cool to see how many people. Lindsay and I talk all the time, and she shares those fears and those hesitations that she has with me. And so it was neat to see that, she's not alone here in the room of 2,000 plus other people that are talking about, feeling not worthy or feeling afraid or afraid of blitzing or whatever the case may be. And so I think just that feeling of like, hey, you're not alone. Other people are feeling that too, and hearing them kind of just the encouragement and motivation that comes out of that.
Yeah. So, moral of the story, get to events. They have, I think this was the closest boot camp to us, but they have what's called One Team, One Missions. And basically any distributor who's triple diamond and above can host a One Team, One Mission. So it doesn't matter what team you're on. You can go to them.
Anybody can go.
Yeah, anyone can go. They had one, for those of you who are local, they had one at Vale Church last year that I went to.
Yep. I know there's one in Chicago. I've seen ones in Indianapolis, Terre Haute.
Christy, you've been to one, right? I think you're muted. Never mind. No, you're frozen. Okay, never mind. But yeah, so it doesn't matter where you are. You can find. Are those on the website?
Yeah, if you go, go into your eSuite and go to events, whatever. They're listed out there, and on the calendar, like every place where One Team, One Mission is being held, the city and state. Yeah, there's a bunch.
So, okay, so first I'm going to start out with blitzing. So for those of you who don't know what blitzing is, it's basically just talking to people about the business or talking to people about the products. And I personally am still a work in progress when it comes to blitzing, because I'm just naturally a very shy, introverted person, and blitzing is completely outside my comfort zone. But I know that I wouldn't want to ask my team to do anything that I'm not doing, so I'm doing my best to get better at it. And I know that you can only do so much on social media. Yes, I can grow fast on social media, but I can grow even faster if I'm talking to people as well. So,
because the people you're talking to is outside of social media, most likely, very possibly, or it's going to help grow your social media too. You're reaching people that you wouldn't normally reach otherwise.
Right.
And you've always struggled with blitzing, and I think they had some really cool ideas and encouragements in terms of what that looks like and how to do that and make it more
less awkward.
Yeah.
So I think it was actually the Duns who were talking about it, right?
Yeah, Joel and Stephanie talked about some, and Kami Dempsey was talking about some.
Yeah.
Kami Dempsey, so she's the VP or something. I don't know what her title is. But so she was talking about it, and she had something that I wrote down that I thought was really cool, because she said she has a rule that every time she takes her billfold out,
a wallet.
Hey, whatever. Billfold for me. Every time she takes her wallet out, meaning she buying something, paying for something. She's probably in some sort of register line. She's also going to pull out a Blitz card. So like, she just has this rule in her head, like, I'm taking my wallet out, I'm taking a Blitz card out. And like, that's kind of a cool idea. Like, just into that habit or that mindset of there's somebody there that you're interacting with that you might have 30 seconds or a minute with that you could hand out a card to.
Yes. And then she said, so, I mean, we get those Blitz cards in our kit. You can order more if you use them.
Right. And something else she pointed out, like the Blitz cards, I mean, and you all know, but the Blitz cards come blank. And she said you would be surprised how many people don't take the time to put their information on there. She said whether you just write it in there or whether you print off labels and have it printed on there. But she's had multiple instances where she's signed distributors that reached out to her because they had a Blitz card from somebody that they had information on. And so they didn't have anyone to contact.
Yeah. So, and then to follow up with that, she said to make sure that you get their information too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, most of the time when you give a business card out or you give a whatever out, they're not gonna contact you majority of the time. So, you know, if you're not comfortable, sometimes it's a little awkward to ask for someone's number. They kind of think like, well, what do you, so it's not hard to ask for someone to ask if they have social media. So like, that's what I've been trying to do is like, hey, are you on Facebook? Okay, great. Let me look you up. And then, you know, you make sure that that's who they are and then add them as a friend. So you automatically get, so then they see, you know, because you're posting on Facebook, then they see your posts and they can follow you, you know, even if they don't become a distributor or a loyal customer right away, they get to see your lifestyle and see your Facebook profile.
Yep. And something else about the Blitz card that Kami mentioned that I thought was kind of interesting and a neat idea was, so putting your information on there, obviously, but like Lindsay's saying, if you add them on Facebook right then and there, but sometimes that doesn't work or doesn't happen or whatever the case is. She said she always puts a sticky note on the backside of her Blitz cards. So when she hands it out, she has a sticky note to keep and like ask for their number or whatever, their number, Facebook site, whatever it is. And then put that's on the sticky note. And then she takes that with her. And then she gave them something and she kept something. So both the person has her information and then she has their information. So I was like, that's kind of a neat idea. I mean, it's easy to stick a sticky note on every Blitz card and then just rip that off when you hand it out and get a phone number.
Yeah. And one thing, so Joel and Stephanie Dunn are like the top income earners in the company. And so one thing that she was saying, or he was saying, was like, you know, if you're awkward like I am naturally, he's like,
well, he made a joke about it. He's like, just make something up.
Yeah.
Like if you
like
don't
pretend like you're on a scavenger hunt and you need to take a picture with someone
holding the Blitz card.
Right.
Like just make something up. They don't have to know that the scavenger hunt wasn't for another few weeks or that it was whatever it is. He's like, if you have a hard time approaching that person, then you know, make it a challenge out of it. Like, oh, was challenged to hand out so many business cards today, and here I'm trying to hand this out. Or yeah, I'm doing a scavenger hunt. I need a picture of somebody holding my Blitz card. And I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah. So then he made me Blitz last night when we were on our way home. And so that's what I did. I was like, hey, I need to hand out a certain amount of Blitz, business cards just because I have a hard time, like just going up to someone and being like, hey.
Well, I pushed Lindsay really hard I push her really hard to Blitz and to do those things. And that's been caused some friction at times because it's really hard for her to get out of her comfort zone. And so after this boot camp, I was like, I was energized and motivated and like kind of felt a fire under me. Like, okay, we really need to start blitzing and doing these things. And it's just going to take us to that next level. But I was realizing that, okay, I can't continue to like push her and be like, you got to do this and not be willing to do it myself. So when we left boot camp, there's an outlet mall in Grand Rapids. So I already planned on taking her going shopping. And so like, okay, well, we're going to go shopping and whatever, for every purchase we buy, either one of us have to hand out a Blitz card. And so, I mean, I actually made the first purchase, so I was kind of on the hook for it. But I realized that we need to find, because it's not me, it's uncomfortable for me too. Like I get very nervous about it, but I just realized we need to find something to motivate us or push us a little bit to kind of get over that hump. And I think Lindsay saw me do it, and she's like, "Oh, you're so natural, and it just works for you." And I'm like, "No, I'm just as nervous as you are." and for Lindsay, she's like, "Well, I just want it to be natural." And I was like, "Well, I don't know that it's natural when you walk up to somebody, but as you, engage in a conversation, you can kind of make it natural and just let it flow. It's not like you're running up to them and just like throwing a card in their face." We talked to 3 people last night, and it never started with, "Hey, do you know it works?" It was, we talked to somebody in the Nike store that was just standing up by the mannequins, and we were talking about their job. And the girl at Maurice's was like talking about selling, and we were like, "Oh, that's cool. What have you been doing?" And like, "Oh, you'd be really good at what we do." And I think it's just about letting that organic conversation kind of happen and then transition into the "it works" thing.
Yeah. Is that it?
Well, so Stephanie Dunn also made a really neat point. So she told this whole story. They did a live video that was posted on the team pages last week or maybe the week before, where they talked about being at a concert or something, or a children's benefit. And so maybe some of you saw it. But she retold the story last night, and it was basically she talking about the power of the ask. So they're at this concert.
Oh, yeah.
There was a pastor on stage doing this painting, and Joel, she really wanted the painting, wanted to buy it, and so they didn't know how. Or so basically, he went back to the front, talked to the merch table, and went through a lot of steps, but he was eventually able to buy the painting. And her point was, at this event of thousands of people, he was the only one who made the ask, and he was the one that came home with the painting. So she was just like, the power of the ask is really big. Like if you're not going to ask the person, somebody else might, and they may say yes or be planting that seed. And just there's a lot of power in the ask. And so I wrote that down because I thought that was powerful.
Yeah. Okay. What was the next? So parties. So actually, Brittany Landrum and Alyssa Bilyeu, who are some of our uplines, they were on a panel that talked about parties. One of the things that they said, who's had parties here? Who had a party in the last week? Who's had a party where no one showed up? And tons of people raised their hands. So this is whether it's like a launch party or it's a party that you do, just on your own, or someone hosts a party for you. You always have those parties where like one person shows up. And she was like, I don't care if no one shows up, we still go live. Like I still go live with that person. And she's like, I did one the other day where no one showed up and we still went live, and, we didn't turn the camera to where the audience would have been, or like, she's like, we didn't say that no one showed up. We went live and we did a Fat Fighter demo. And she's like, she signed 20 customers after that because she went live and did the Fat Fighter demo. So I think, our new distributors are so hesitant because they're like, oh, I don't know if I can get anyone to show up. But it's so important to get that party scheduled, because you want to get that first win for them, whether it's just one customer, or because the longer it takes to schedule that party, then the longer they wait. If they're not comfortable posting on Facebook yet, and they probably aren't getting customers right away, and then it's a lot easier to lose them as a distributor, or have them give up, or just have them not be motivated or feel like they're not doing well. If they don't have, one win right out of the gate.
And maybe I'm making this up, but I felt like somebody talk about some of the hesitations is feeling like you need to have all the You need
Oh,
all
yeah.
the products before to be able to have a successful party. You got to be able to have all the products to show or to go through. And
Yeah.
um,
She's like, you don't need anything to have a party.
right.
I mean, you can talk about the products. You can,
I mean, you get the product catalogs in your builder kit, so you can walk through all that. And
yeah. And sometimes it overwhelms people when you do bring a ton of products, or people who might have wanted to be a distributor are like, oh, well, I can't be one unless I have all these products. So she's like, just keep it simple. Use the products that you have. If you don't have any, then just talk about the products.
Well, I mean, reach out to, I mean, if you're doing parties and, I mean, here locally or somewhere close within driving distance, I mean, reach out to Lindsay, because, I mean, she has a ton of stuff. And, I mean, we've continued to grow and get, I mean, not only products, but, I mean, she's got banners and signs and different things that she's acquired over the months to try and help with those parties and those events that she's doing. So, I mean, those are just sitting around if we're not using them. So, anyone would be welcome to use those things to help with their parties or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Alyssa said that I wrote down that I thought was really neat. She said at every party she goes to that and really blitzing or parties or any conversation she's having, she always asks, who do you know that I need to know? She made the point that, whoever she's talking to, maybe they're not interested. Maybe they say no, on the products or to be a lower customer or distributor and doesn't go anywhere. But she always asks, who do you know that I need to know? Because they might have a friend that is going to be the next person who just explodes. And so she always asks, who do you know that I need to know? And then can I, what's their name so I can add them on Facebook or whatever. And I thought that was neat because it may not be that next person. It may be the person that they were talking about, all these different countries that we're in, globally. And they're like, don't worry about going global, like go across the street and get your neighbor, because it's not about everyone. You might go across the street and get your neighbor, and your neighbor might know, way more than you ever thought possible. So,
yeah. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about retaining loyal customers. So we all know, how excited we get when we get a loyal customer. And that's the hardest part. So we don't want to lose those loyal customers after the 3 months. We want to keep them for life. So they had a whole panel about that. And they always said, fortune is in the follow-up. So, similar to when you go to a restaurant and you order something and they bring you their food, you don't want that to be your last, that to be the only time that they check in on you, right? You want them to come and, ask if you need a drink refill, or ask if you want dessert, or ask how your food is or whatever. And so that's kind of similar to our loyal customers. We want to make sure that they're enjoying their products, that, they understand how to use the website, understand how their auto ship works, know when their auto ship is running. I always send mine a thank you note right after they join. I give them their ID number, their password, if I've signed them up, and a business card just so they have my website, and kind of explain, how to change their auto ship, but that I'll follow up with them before their auto ship runs again. So, that's just something to let them know that you appreciate them. And I didn't do it in the beginning. And then I tried to go back and write thank you notes to all my customers, and it took me like weeks. So I suggest starting at the beginning. It's easy when you sign a loyal customer to just write the thank you note right then and there and get it sent out.
But you keep track of everybody in your calendar, so you know when all of their autos are running, because you follow. I think you do really awesome with that, like following up with people before their autos run for the next month and make sure that they, they're happy with their products, or if they want to change something different, or
yeah.
I think people feel appreciated by that.
And I think you have to kind of find a system that works for you, because for the longest time I would just like.
We've been through a lot of systems.
Yeah, I tried to make a notebook.
Whiteboards. We've been through huge calendars on the wall. We've been through a lot.
Yeah. So I found something that works for me, but find something that works for you as far as keeping track of your customers, because you want them to feel like you appreciate them and they're not just, you seal the deal and then you forget about them. They want to know that they're helping you out and that you care about them and the products that they're using. Someone mentioned that they do Facebook voice memos. I haven't tried that yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Not only for thanking loyal customers, but actually for messaging. Instead of like typing out a message to a potential distributor or potential loyal customer, they have a Facebook voice message where you just hold your thumb down, and I think it's like a minute max, and then it sends as soon as you take your thumb off. So like if you want to talk for more than a minute, then you have to do another one. But that's a good way for people. I mean, because people can kind of, it's hard to hear excitement through text. Mm-hmm. So, it's really powerful when they can actually hear your voice and hear the excitement in your voice. So that's another good tip that I wrote down. One of them was talking about how they have a loyal customer appreciation page, Facebook page, to where they put their loyal customers in this page so they can keep their customers updated with, when we have BOGO sales or new products or, because it's hard to just assume that your customers are seeing your posts because they're, they probably aren't seeing all your posts. So it's hard to let them all know when those deals are going on. And, they said that they would actually have some of their customers post success stories or their before and afters in this page so that, the other customers were seeing like, oh, well, this customer is taking this product. I hadn't even thought about that. Maybe I should try that. And it's more powerful when it comes from someone who's not selling it, if that makes sense. So that's something I might try. And they would highlight when like a loyal customer would become a distributor. So when they would make the switch, they would post that on that page, just so that others could see like, oh, well, that customer has become a distributor. Maybe I should try it. Or if they can do it, maybe I could do it. So those were some of the things I wrote down. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think that's when I was out trying to charge your phone.
Eric was charging my phone during that section. Shelby, do you have anything to add as far as what you...
I really liked when the people who have made it so far into the company were talking about they all started where we started. They all started by buying their $99 starter kit. They all started with 0 loyal customers. They all started with 0 distributors under them. Because I think when we're all getting started, it's hard to kind of wrap your brain around, okay, I want to be Ruby. I have to get so many loyal customers. I have to get so many distributors. And then you kind of see these people who have made it so far to triple diamond and presidential and ambassador, and you think, I'm never going to get there. It seems like you can pretty easily get discouraged if you look so far ahead instead of taking it step by step. So to see these people on stage talking about their stories and how they all started in the same place, it's kind of it was kind of a nice reminder that they all started exactly where we started. So it doesn't seem like it's quite so difficult if you think about it, just taking it step by step, day by day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we can, Kami Dempsey made that point that she didn't sign her first distributor for, I think she said 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah.
And now she's Black Diamond.
Yeah.
I think I think you can attest to that. I can remember when you joined back in July or August and looking at the charts and thinking about, man, how are you ever going to get to Ruby? And then you get to Ruby and like, how is Emerald or Diamond ever possible? And the volumes to get there and the maintenance volume, like, man, that's like double or triple or, but you just keep plugging away at that the next loyal customer, the next distributor, and not giving up. I think not giving up is what it all boils down to, and just keep plugging away and working together, and knowing that we're all in it together, and we support you and the team supports you, and then we get here and 9 months in, like, you're double diamond. Like, if you would have said you're going to be double diamond back in August, like, we probably would like, heck no, that's not possible. We'd be lucky to be doing it. And
right.
That, and in the beginning when they went out into the crowd and asked everybody what they were struggling with and what they felt was holding them back, it was really nice to see they were all not only did that show the people who were struggling that they weren't the only ones there, but it showed me kind of, if you're feeling like you're stuck or whatever, you have your whole team behind you to just support you during that time. Or even if you're just feeling like, oh, I'm never going to get to Ruby, your whole team is there with you just to give you advice. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to your teammates or your upline for support or advice during that time. It kind of, for me, served a dual purpose to show those individuals, hey, you're not the only one right now in your shoes. And number two, you have your whole team behind you during this. So that's what I love most about it. Works.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So now we'll wrap up with some of the stuff that they talked to us about on Friday night. So it was more kind of like leadership advice, which as soon as you get one distributor under you, you become a leader because you have teammates under you. So yeah, don't think that just because you have one person or two people that, oh, well, I'm not really a leader. You are a leader because you have teammates under you who are looking to you as a leader. So with that, they talked about how it's so easy to like get caught up in the negativity. You're always going to have naysayers. You're always going to have people, that are talking behind your back or, whatever. And so they talked about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are going to cheer you on, challenge you. That's why I love events so much, because, you're surrounded by people who know what you're doing and know, they have the same goals and the same vision as you do. So, I think your mindset is such a huge, I didn't realize how important like my mindset was in this business until I started like promoting and realizing, oh, maybe I can do this. And then once I thought of myself as, a leader and saw myself like, oh, maybe I can, like, I don't know. It's just it plays a huge role. Your self-talk, if you're telling yourself, oh, I can't do this, then you're not going to do it. If you tell yourself you're going to do this and I told myself I'm diamond for several months. And even the month that I went diamond, I didn't believe it was going to happen. I think for the first 3 weeks of the month, we were like, oh, it's not going to happen. We'll get it next month. And then like the last week of the month, Eric was like, no, you can do this. Like, you just need to go for it. And something switched and we just went for it. And
well, one of the ambassadors that was there, Mark Pentecost, made the point that she messaged him when she was presidential saying, I'm going ambassador this month. And at the end of the month, she didn't hit ambassador, and she messaged him and said, you know what, it didn't work out. It's not going to happen this month. But I'm going to keep pressing through, and I'm going to make it happen next month. And he made the point that, that really, not only did that it stood out to him because she called out like, hey, I'm going ambassador, but then to come back and follow up and say, you know what, it didn't happen, but I'm not giving up. Because he said he has so many people that will call out like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then they just go fall off the map, and it's crickets because you don't ever hear anything again. And so, I think it was important to hear like, call it out and like go after it. But at the same time, like, it's okay if you don't hit that mark. Like, there's next month, and we keep pushing forward and keep pushing through those barricades and those ceilings, and we will get there.
Yeah. Let's see. So we talked about confidence. I mean, kind of same thing. So the confidence is basically the willingness to try. So, I mean, even just doing this business, I don't like to fail. So in life, I don't really take chances. I don't do anything that I don't know that I'm going to be good at. So this was like a huge leap of faith for me. But I think so much of this business is just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and acting confident, even if maybe you're not confident in the beginning. Because if you practice being confident, then you will eventually become that role.
It goes back to that self-talk. I think what you tell yourself what you tell yourself is going to play itself out in your actions. Your attitude and self-talk are going to reflect. So if you're telling yourself you can't, or I think it's going to make it even harder for you to. And something that they talked about was, I think he got it from a book. I can't remember now, but he was talking about like a countdown, like a launching countdown, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Like, so perfect example, when I told Lindsay we had the blitz last night, we were in the Nike outlet store, and I was like, oh, there's a mom. She's sitting on a bench with a bottle feeding her small child, infant, and she had a toddler. They're running around. I'm like, that's like us with Eli and Hadley. And I don't know where the dad was at. He's over looking at shoes. I'm like, go talk to her. And literally we were in the Nike store for like 10 minutes. And Lindsay would walk up the aisle, walk down the aisle. I'm like, just talk. She's like, well, I don't know what to say. Like, she's feeding a baby. Say, oh, we're up here for an event. We left our kids at home. And how old is your, whatever. Like, just, and then the woman got up and like was putting the baby back in the stroller. And so her back was turned to Lindsay. And so lo and behold, she walks off, and Lindsay never even had a conversation. She's like, well, at least I tried. Like, no, you didn't try. You just walked over there and stood. Like, trying would have been like said something. And I think it goes to that confidence for her and that self-talk, because she tells herself, oh, I can't do it. Or, she's so afraid of what they're going to say or what they're going to think. And I'm like, I told her she didn't even have to bring up it works. Just engage in the conversation. Like, what's more easier than engaging?
She had her head down, so I was waiting for her to like look up so I could like make eye contact before I said something, and she never looked up.
Well, I just think it just points to that. What you tell yourself is going to play out in your actions. So when you tell yourself, you know what, it's not that I can do this, like getting past that fear and having that confidence and not feeling like, oh, they're going to slap me in the face or they're going to like do something horrible. Like, yeah, they may say no, they may not be interested, but it's okay. Like, just, I think, especially in the beginning, the outcome is irrelevant. It's more about having building that confidence and that courage and having the conversations and just getting that repetition down. And I think the more, I don't know about all of them, but for you, I think the more you do that, the more comfortable you're going to get. And they really stress that about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And because whether it's blitzing, whether it's doing parties, whatever maybe some of those areas you're good at, there's areas that you're not going to be as good at or feel as comfortable in. And going to that next level, like, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable with whatever areas of the business you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Another thing, so Mark, the CEO, his wife, talked for a little bit on Friday night, and she was talking about how we need to change our perspective from thinking, what do I have to do, to what do I get to do? And her sister had just passed away.
No, her sister just lost her husband.
Her sister's husband had just passed away. And she was talking about, how she was coming home from something and thinking like, oh, I have to, make dinner and I have to get the kids in bed. And then she was like, no. She's like, I get to make my kids dinner. I get to put them to bed. I get to be with my husband. My sister doesn't get to do that anymore. So
yeah, because Mark was sick or something last year or
cancer.
something, and so she was like, I have to go home and take over my husband. No, I don't have to. I get to go home and take care of my husband because my sister doesn't. Her husband isn't here anymore to take care of.
Right.
And she tied it back to works, I think, but she was talking more bigger picture, just life in general, like how much that mindset of getting to do things versus having to do things. And she made the point that, every morning her prayers are about, God, please show me help my mindset be how I can get to do things for you, not how I have to do things.
Yeah. And I think that's huge too, even just in our business, looking at it as what do I get to do? Not what do I have to, like, oh, I have to go blitz. No, I get to go blitz and help change someone else's life like I've changed my own. So, that kind of put things into perspective for me. And then one of them was just kind of straight in your face, like, you need to figure out what you need to get over. She's like, for me, I just needed to get over myself. Yeah, get over yourself.
Because Cindy's 3 words was, I get to, and then they went and talked to Pam, so Pam wrapped up, and she's like, well, my 3 words are get over yourself. And
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So half the time I just have to get over myself.
Because her point about getting over yourself, I think she was talking about how we get so caught up in it's about us and like our fear or hesitation or whatever. And because she said that to some distributors she's like, get over yourself. It's not about you. It's about them, how the products can change their life, how this business opportunity can change their life. And you need to get over yourself. And I was like, no, that's definitely in your face, but at the same time, very true.
Yeah. And she talked about, not everyone on your team is going to want this like you do. So, complaining about people that are not working on your team that just sucks the energy out of you. They talked about, giving your energy to your top 5 or your top 10 or your top 2 or whatever, however big your team is, find your top runners and pour into those people, pour into the people that want it just as much as you do. And don't give much time or energy to the ones who don't want it for themselves, because that basically just sucks all. I think it was Mark who was talking about it, because he did a business. He did a multi-level marketing business before he took over or started at Works. And he was like, my calendar would be filled up. I'd have all these phone calls with basically the same people every week. And he's like, I would just be so drained after them. And these same people wouldn't be doing anything the next week. And I'd have the same conversation with them and they still wouldn't do anything. He's like, I finally realized, all right, these people are never going to do anything besides just complain and whine and take all my energy. So he's like, I need to find my top 10 and I need to give those people my time and my energy. And he's like, that's when my business took off, because I stopped focusing on the people that just wanted to, complain about it and not do anything. So he's like, and then I found that people would want to know, well, am I in your top 10? But I thought that was good, because I think sometimes we get so focused on, oh, well, this person isn't working, so I need to motivate them. You can't motivate anyone. You can inspire them, by leading by example and doing what you want them to do, but you can't motivate anyone. Yep. So I think that's about all I have. But does anyone have any questions?
Well, so just 2 things that I was going to say.
Excuse me.
So, hey, you asked me to be a part of this. So
I know.
So I think one thing that they brought up that so they talked about, remember what it's like when you first signed on as a distributor, and remember what questions did you have, what did you need from your leaders. And I think that was powerful for me, because I can remember so they went through this whole I think they actually did on Saturday, they went through the personality charts like red, blue, yellow, and green. I'm very much a green, so I'm very much a details person. I'm not real in your face, but I want to know all the details. So when Lindsay signed up, like I read through all of eSuites. I knew all the stuff. I mean, I wanted all the details. Like I didn't want to not know what we were doing. So it's just kind of my anal retentiveness. So I was very much a details person. And so I think that helped remind me like what it was like for her being a new distributor. And not everybody has a spouse or that is, because Lindsay, I mean, I try to be strong in the areas where she's not, or so if she's not big on the website or big on reports, like I try to provide those things for her to help. I try to take off her plate whatever I can. And so I think as a new distributor, like I want people to feel comfortable reaching out to Lindsay and I, like, hey, I could use help in this area. If you know reports really well or whatever you feel like you need that you're not getting from us, to feel free to reach out and ask for those things, because we want to pour into you and we want to see you succeed. And if there's things that I'm helping Lindsay with back end stuff, reports and different things in eSuites, and you have questions about that, like, I'm more than happy to help try and figure that out or give you answers. Or if I don't, I've connected with Michael Billiou a lot because he's very much like that. And we've had conversations because he does that for Alyssa and does a lot of behind the scenes and provides research or reports and different things for her that takes stuff off of her plate so she can be more talking to people and blitzing and messaging. And so if I don't have answers, I can definitely have resources to get answers. So if there's stuff that you need, whether you're a new distributor, or been in it for several months and still feel like there's more support that you wish you had, let us know, because we want to support you in every way possible. And my other point was kind of going back to you were making the point about events, and events are great, but I think you can make your own events. So I was really excited last week, I think it was, when you and Heather and Amber went out for margaritas, and I was like, that's awesome. I think you guys should do that. I mean, monthly or so whatever it is, like and if you're not, I think like these Zooms, I think that's all. I mean, because what you don't realize, not having been to an event, is that just that camaraderie and that energy and that encouragement that you get. And I think that's what you're doing on these Zooms on a smaller scale. And that's what you're doing when you're going out for margs and talking business and strategizing and encouraging one another. And I think those things are just so important. So if, for the people that are local, I think you should continue to do those things, and people that aren't, like, find ways to connect with them and create that kind of boot camp environment, in a way that they can, you can feed off one another and get that encouragement and that business effect.
Yeah.
So those are my two things.
Now, does anyone have any questions? Not.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Hey, Linz. I've kind of got like spotty Wi-Fi, and I know you were trying to ask me about the One Team, One Mission meeting. So yes. I kind of ended up missing that because of the connection I had. So did you have a question for me on that, or did I miss anything?
I said that you've been to one that was. Okay. I mean, so she's in Colorado, but they have them, all over the country. So
yeah, okay.
Always ones that are close that you can find.
Gotcha.
So
yes, for sure. I really enjoyed it. So if you have the opportunity, like for anybody else that has the opportunity, like just seeing and speaking to other people other than your teammates is just phenomenal, and just hearing their stories and being able to be touched by other people as well, and finding your why and a true why, and not just, well, I'm going to do it for my family or do it for my vacations, but really finding that really deep reason of why you joined and where you want to go and what you want to do, and just being able to have more people around you that are truly on the same mission and able to connect with you and give you some more heart about the business. It was phenomenal for me.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until I went to my first one that it doesn't matter who's putting it on or who what team it is. I didn't have any team members there. I just went by myself.
Oh, the veil, right?
Yeah.
Because we were.
Yeah, I was by myself too.
Because that was early on, and we are like, "Is this like? Is it supposed to be for just a certain team, and you're not part of that? So can you go? Can you not?" Like we were like,
yeah,
just get a ticket and go.
Go.
So you can't, then okay, we guess we learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool.
I think I like the point Christy made, like, and I think they made that this weekend, like connecting back to your why. Like when we left yesterday, I actually sent Tristan and Eli a message because, that's who Lindsay signed up under. And I was like, I'm so thankful for you guys and for your leadership and for you bringing this into Lindsay's life because I was just re-inspired in her whole why. Our whole why about her being able to stay at home. And I'm like, without them and without It Works, like she would still be going. I work at State Farm, love State Farm, great job, but she would still be going to State Farm every day and somebody else would be raising our kids. I'm like, I'm so thankful for them and for It Works. That, like, my kids wake up every morning when they want to Lindsay and to like stay at home, be at home with mom every day. I'm like, that's beyond. I can't even. You can't put a price on that for me. And that's something that was always important to us after we got married and started talking about kids. So I was like, man, it just kind of brought the why back to the surface and like gives me that much more motivation to keep pushing.
And I think that's important too with your distributors, especially the ones that like have a hard time getting going or whatever, like always to remind them, first of all, to find out what their why is. Because you can't.
Everybody's is different.
Right. Everyone's is different. And, when I had a hard time starting off, like Trista would just remind me, it's like, remember those kids that you want to go home to? And, it would remind me, okay, it's worth, getting over out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And so it helps too when your distributor's whys and so you can help them,
Yeah, because Mark Pentecost made the point yesterday, something about like being able to take his kids to the park on a Wednesday afternoon while everybody else was working. I'm like, man, I was getting all choked up because I can't even take my kids to the park on a Wednesday afternoon because I still got to go to work. But I'm like, Lindsay can do that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just, it's just very powerful. And like connecting to a person's why, whatever that is huge and is what's going to keep them motivated and inspired to keep pressing forward. Not giving up, because if you take quitting off the table, then succeeding is not if, it's you're going to succeed. It's just a matter of when.
Right. Okay, I want to get off here so that if you guys want to get on the family call, you can, or go to bed. But thank you all for taking the time to hop on, and hope you learned a little bit.
So and Heather and Amber, I'm sure your next Mark date will get scheduled soon.
Oh, it's already on the books. Don't worry.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I guess maybe we need to have a little heart to heart. I didn't know they were getting scheduled without me. Maybe I should get.
Just kidding. Just in my books.
No, it's a girls only.
Okay. Then I'm gonna call Justin, and Justin and I are gonna get a.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for pouring into us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.